Alright, and welcome back. In this video, we are going to be going through Chapter 5, Section number 4, titled Special Quadrilaterals. By the end of this video, we should be able to apply the definitions and identify the special properties of a rectangle, a rhombus, and a square. So let's have out your guided notes. Let's begin. So a rectangle, it's a quadrilateral with 4 right angles. It's a parallelogram because both pairs of opposite angles are congruent. A rhombus. A quadrilateral with 4 congruent sides is a rhombus. A rhombus is a parallelogram because both pairs of opposite sides are congruent. And a square. A quadrilateral with 4 right angles and 4 congruent sides is a square. A square is a parallelogram. It's also a rectangle, and it is also a rhombus. So again, a rectangle has 4 right angles, has all the properties of a parallelogram, has congruent diagonals, and if one angle of a parallelogram is a right angle, then the parallelogram is a rectangle. So let's go through an example together. We're given that quadrilateral ABCD is a rectangle. If the length of dx is equal to 3y plus 2, and the length of AC is equal to 22, we want to find the value of y. Well, dx is this piece right here. Starts at a vertice and intersects the other diagonal at point x, and AC is equal to 22. Well, we know that diagonals of a rectangle are congruent, so dx should be half of AC, since dx is half of one diagonal and AC is the other diagonal. So as we substitute in, we're going to have 3y plus 2 is equal to half of 22. And as we solve using algebra, we find that y is going to be equal to 3. With this in mind, please work on problems 1 through 5 on the guided notes and resume when you're ready to move forward. So a rhombus has 4 congruent sides, has all the properties of a parallelogram, has diagonals that are perpendicular, has diagonals that bisect its angles. And if 2 consecutive sides of a parallelogram are congruent, then the parallelogram is a rhombus. So rhombus is again different than a rectangle. With this in mind, please work on problems 6 through 11 on the guided notes and resume when you're ready to move forward. Now we have another type of special quadrilateral. It's a square. And a square has 4 right angles and it has 4 congruent sides. Has all the properties of a parallelogram, has diagonals that are both congruent and perpendicular, and has diagonals that bisect its angles. So essentially a square is pieces of a rectangle and pieces and properties of a rhombus brought together. So again, a square can be a rectangle, a square can be a rhombus, but it does not work the other way around. A rectangle is not always a square, and a rhombus is not always a square either. With this in mind, please work on problems 12 through 16 on the guided notes and resume when you're ready to move forward. And lastly, the midpoint of the hypotenuse of a right triangle is equidistant from the 3 vertices. So if triangle ABC has a right angle ABC and X is the midpoint of segment or side AC, then we're going to know that the length of XA is equal to the length of XC and is equal to the length of XB. So I could also add a tick mark there because X is the midpoint on the hypotenuse of that right triangle, and we now know that the midpoint of the hypotenuse of a right triangle is equidistant from all 3 vertices. With this in mind, please work on problems 17 through 21 on the guided notes. Keep up the great work. Keep making yourself proud. It is going to be important that we do understand the different properties of these special quadrilaterals. And if you have any questions, please be sure to let us know. We'll talk to you soon.